Welcome back to the Open Up podcast, everyone, into episode 56 with Nina Silic. Is it Silic? I didn't even ask you.
It is.
Yes.
Well, I'm actually married now, so it's now Marin, but I go by Silic when I do stuff like this. So that is
Okay. First question straight off the bat.
okay.
Can you describe yourself for us as a woman and a human?
Oh my gosh, that's so I don't know.
So esoteric.
Straight into it. I'm so bad at I think talking about myself in terms of my personality. I think other people would best describe me, are better at describing me than I am. But as a human, I by nature am very caring. I sometimes, a lot of the time, care too much, and that's been a blessing and a downfall in the past. And I've had to learn to kind of manage that. And I'm very, I guess, bubbly and vibrant, as you can tell by my personality. I'm very excitable. I'm very spontaneous. I love a bit of spontaneity in life. And yeah, I genuinely care about things and a lot of things I shouldn't care about, and I do. And as a woman, I know I am very strong. I think all women are very strong, to be honest, the things we have to deal with. I think you will never understand. But I think I'm very strong-minded. So I know that no matter how challenging something is, if I really set my mind to it, I know I can achieve it. And I've proven that in the past with all the things I've done in my life. And I'm a little bit stubborn sometimes, but I think everyone is. But yeah, as a woman, I'm very, again, nurturing, caring, and that kind of goes on to the other side of things. And I've really had to learn how to put some of that nurturing care onto myself and put myself first. I think that's been a big lesson for me.
Yeah.
So
I think that's something everyone needs to learn, though, at some point.
Yes, and you either learn it slowly or just bang and you learn it the hard way.
Can you give us a quick, I guess, summary of your childhood up until about 23 when you're going to share the first struggle?
Yeah, okay. So I can't really complain about my upbringing. I had a really good upbringing. I had two amazing, loving parents. Obviously, I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me. And my family, we grew up in Australia, but my family is actually Croatian, whole family. So even my brother was born in Croatia. So I have that European background, all the morals, the kind of cultural background there. So I grew up in a household with a lot of family values, a lot of discipline with a European father, especially being a girl. No, you can't do that. No, you can't wear that. No, you can't, So, but also I grew up with a lot of love, which was awesome. So I can't really complain about that. And yeah, I was always active at a young age. I was always go, go, go. My mum put me into dancing when I was little. So I danced all the way up until I was probably about 23, as we spoke about. Because I was a bundle of energy all the time. So mum was like, I need to just get her to expel some energy somewhere. I can't deal with her. So she put me into dancing classes, and that kind of took off for me. I did everything from ballet, hip hop, commercial jazz, tap, acrobatics, everything you can think of I did. And I loved it. So that was a big part of my life. And I was always into sports and trying new things. That was pretty much all I did was dance school. I went to university. I have a Bachelor of Commerce degree, which I don't even use anymore, but it was good to do. And after that kind of happened, I went, see your mum and dad. I ticked the box. I'm moving to Sydney by myself at 21, I think I was almost 22. And I was like, I'm going to dance and just be a dancer and performer. And that's what I wanted to do. That was actually my dream, which definitely took a different turn. But so I was always unafraid to kind of just jump in the deep end of things. But it's funny because I was actually very shy growing up.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to speak in front of people. I'm happy to talk to everyone. But when I was younger, especially probably up until I finished high school, I was very shy. I would only be comfortable in my little comfort zone of friends, and I'd only be bubbly and stuff with the people I really knew. But anyone I didn't know, I was really quiet and timid, and I was that kind of person. So I'm an extroverted introvert. It's kind of how I like to. I still am that now, but I'm more extroverted. And yeah, I just grew up dancing. We grew up on a big property. I was always outside and active, and that's pretty much it, really. And then I decided I wanted to do this dancing career, and I did a year in a performing arts academy, like a full academy. We had to sing, dance, um, act, everything, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that was my dream. And I even did shows. Like I was on So You Think You Can Dance when I was like 21. How crazy is that? Like so much stuff. I've done commercials. I always threw myself into different things. And then the fitness side of things came about when I was 23. I finished at the academy, and I was like, oh, this isn't for me. Like, I realized it really wasn't something I wanted to do. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay in Sydney by myself? I didn't know what I was going to do. Do I go home? So I went back to Perth. And once you leave your hometown, you realize how much you actually love it, as opposed to when you're there, you're like, there's nothing to do here. It's so boring, blah, blah, blah. So going back really made me appreciate it. And I moved back to Perth, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I had a friend recommend me. She's like, look, you're athletic. I had been training in the gym up until then, and a little bit as well, not really knowing what I was doing, but, just lifting a few weights, doing way too much cardio like everyone. And yeah, she was like, well, why don't you do like a bikini show as something different? I thought, oh, that's a cool idea. I get to perform on stage and whatnot still. So that's kind of where the fitness journey started for me.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
I think you said, like, as a person, you care too much. Is that, sorry to go back a little bit, is that something you were brought up with?
I don't know. I know my mom is very nurturing. I think that just developed as part of just me, to be honest. I don't really know where that came from, because my brother is the complete opposite of me, has zero empathy for anything.
Yeah,
like lost.
Mine too.
Yeah, like zero empathy. He's had to learn how to empathize and sympathize with people. He means well, but he just can't. He doesn't have that. And I'm the opposite. I really almost care too much. Like, I invest myself in people a lot. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with my upbringing, but more just so, I guess, from going to get into the universe side of things, like deep in my soul, it's kind of where it's come from.
That's cool.
It's always been me, so I don't know.
You can get as meta as you want. You also said, like, you're determined, obviously, to do anything within the bodybuilding realm. You have to be determined. Was that something that you learned growing up as well, like through dance? Because I know dance can be quite tedious, and you have to stick to schedules.
Yeah, definitely. I think growing up in the dancing world really helped me, I guess, mature a lot faster. And also growing up with an older brother, I was always surrounded by, I guess, older people, not so much people my age, apart from at school, So I was always with my brother and his friends. They were always over. When I was dancing, though, I was very much one of the youngest people always in the class, and I started actually performing at shows and getting paid for gigs from 14 years old. Wow. So when you're doing that, you're working with older people all the time, and that kind of gives you a level of maturity. And then that kind of, I think, possibly stems into, always looking up to others who are older than you doing things, and then, you want to push yourself. So I always had that drive to push myself with things, especially physically, especially with dancing or any sport that you do. It's like, how can I get better? How can I get better at this? How can I get better at this? So I think that was kind of ingrained in me from early on.
That's really cool. It's like you had your average of the 5 people you spent the most time with from 14 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. So always with older girls, and not older, but, maybe a few years older, and then you've got just a wide range. So even within the group of girls, we still have our dancing crew now. Not that, we dance anymore, but I think I'm like the second youngest out of everybody. So out of about 15 of us. So yeah, it kind of pushes you to do better when you're with people a little bit older and who have been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess there's a couple of things I want to touch on before we move on to, like, you being in the fitness industry and the struggle of it. How did you make that move as like a 19, 20-year-old to a place like Sydney? Because that would make most people anxious and make their palms sweat.
Yeah, I was very nervous because I didn't tell my mum this actually, but I said, Mum, well, I was already enrolled in the academy, so I was already in. So that was sold. And so that actually I had a course to go to. I had nowhere to live. And I didn't tell my mum. I said, yeah, I'm going to stay with some friends. And I did know people there. And I did actually have like one night stay set up, but that was it because they had to move house. So she's like, you can stay with me for 2 nights, but we're moving house. So I don't have anywhere for you to stay. And I was like, oh my God, whatever, I'll just wing it. So I didn't tell my mum or she would have had a heart attack. Croatian mother would have freaked out. So yeah, I was very nervous because in my mind I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to sleep. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I just went with a suitcase. That was it with all my dancing stuff, and stayed at a girlfriend's place for 2 nights, and then called another friend and went, hey, I have anywhere to stay. Can I stay in a couple of nights with you? Like I was trying to actively look for a place to rent. And then, yeah, I did get that again with another girl. Actually, no, I found like a share house. Like I rented a room and it was the most horrible experience. Oh, it was this lovely girl's house. She was lovely. And I remember, I don't know if you've been to, like, Sydney is infested with cockroaches, everyone. Like they're everywhere. But this house in particular, I didn't know until I actually moved in that there was cockroaches literally everywhere, and I lasted a week and I was like, I can't, I'm out. And then so I just jumped from place to place and finally found a place to rent with a girlfriend. So yeah, I was a little nervous, but I think, I don't know, like actually it's funny, I've never reflected on this. No one's ever asked me this question, but reflecting now, I think I always just find a solution. I was terrified. Don't get me wrong. I'm in the city. I don't know. I know a few people, but that's about it. I don't have a car. Like I have X amount of money. I have one suitcase full of stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I haven't even told my mum that till now. Today. She'll probably see listening to
That's
this.
so bad.
Terrible, right? I was only 21.
You did say you were impulsive though.
Yeah, I am. But if my daughter did that, I think I'd have a heart attack too.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh.
I guess like the last question on that topic is how did you let go of the dream of being a dancer?
Oh, you know what? It was hard because I had my heart set on that forever. I was like, I'm going to do this academy. I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to live the dream. Like that was my whole goal. But my perception really changed because dancing to me was always fun. It was always fun. And I just loved it so much. And honestly, after doing 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, almost 5 to 7 days a week, depending on extra rehearsals, and um, for a year, it just didn't become fun anymore. It almost became like a chore.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was just the environment I was in where you're literally being yelled at in class because you didn't do a technique correctly or you got the timing wrong or something. So it was, and that's what the world is though with dancing. Obviously it's a job at the end of the day later if you're making it a career, but it just really didn't become fun anymore. So I'm like, well, something I was so passionate about isn't fun. So why should I continue? You know what I mean? Like it was just not going to be fun. So it was sad, and I was sad to not give it a crack, but at the same time, like this isn't making me happy anymore. So I need to find another kind of alternative.
That's a massive lesson for anyone too, because a lot of people think that you have one passion and you have to follow that until death, but that's a good example of realizing that it's not actually what you want and then moving on.
And especially so young. I think I only just turned 23 at the end of the year. 23. I don't know. I can't remember. I was either 22 or 23 when that happened. And yeah, it's a big realization to have. But I got back home and I actually didn't know what I was going to do. I went, I really don't know what I'm going to do with my life. But you're so young at that age, and at that time you think you haven't got time, and you really do. You have so much time. Like 10 years later, and I'm still like back to that same point, which we can talk about later. But yeah, I think it's a big thing to realize, and it's important to realize you don't have to be sticking with something that doesn't make you happy anymore.
Yeah, it's powerful, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, run us through your struggle in the fitness industry.
Oh, how many? I'll take you wrong. Okay, so my fitness journey, or my fitness story, whatever you want to call it. I hate the word journey, but it's like the only word that describes it. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. And it's still going. So I've had an amazing experience the past, say, 10 years in health and fitness. But it's been I've learned things. I'm the person that seems to learn things the hard way rather than avoid them. I don't know why. It just always seems to happen to me. I'm like the one that has to live it and learn it the hard way and then come out the other side. So I started competing when I was about 23. So 2011 is when I started competing, and I really it was so up and down. So I did not enjoy the prep. If anyone who's competed before, it's grueling. I remember my first show, I just didn't feel good. I remember show day, because show day usually you feel amazing, you're so shredded and you're like, yeah, I feel great. And I just didn't feel good, and I didn't feel lean enough. And I remember having like a almost anxiety panic attack before I went on stage, just thinking, I'm not good enough, oh my God. And I won. Okay. And then since then I kind of caught the bug, and I just wanted to get better and better and better. And back then we didn't have Instagram yet.
Yeah.
Yes, hard to believe, all you millennials. We didn't have Instagram, and Facebook wasn't, Facebook pages. It was just private friend stuff. So there was no, I guess, social media or big platforms that were talking about health and fitness and longevity and fitness. So all we really had was the old school, like bodybuilding.com, all the forums, all your magazines that talk about like 6 meals a day, chicken and rice and broccoli and all that kind of stuff. That's all we really had, was those old school methods of, bodybuilding. And that's all you did. So I got I compete. I didn't stop. There was no one to tell me I had to take a break, and my body needed a break, right? So from 2011 all the way through to 2014, I was competing. I had a break in there though, but only because it was forced. So by the end of 2013, I'm testing my memory, I won my pro card. So IFBB pro card is like, you win your pro status and you can compete in international shows with the best of the best. And I won that, and that was my dream. And I was like, yes. But in that 2 years, I'd literally been killing myself with training, cardio, under eating, only living off like chicken, asparagus, a little bit of rice, just really restricted diet, which is, if you don't have variety, your hormones don't function. My body was just literally just shutting down on me. I didn't even know. Like, for example, I didn't get my period for 2 years, and as a female, wow, that's okay. And there was no one to tell me that wasn't normal or whatever. And you just push through. And this is where my determination is kind of a downfall. My mindset was, no, push through no matter how crappy I felt. And I did that, but then I didn't listen to my body whatsoever. That just wasn't an element that I knew how to do. And yeah, by the end of that, my body started breaking after 2013. I rebounded really badly, started getting weight regain because my metabolism had adapted so much to eating so very little calories that if I increased my calories slightly, I just started gaining weight. I was doing 3 hours of cardio a day. I didn't know how to reverse diet. I didn't know how to reverse out of everything. Like, we have all that information today. There was none of that. It was really like, all right, we're going to coach you to the end of the diet, and then you're on your own. And I'm like, how do I eat like a normal person? Like, I had food anxiety. I couldn't eat in a restaurant. Like, I couldn't eat food I didn't prepare myself. And when I did, I binged. It was just a horrible cycle of trying to be normal but not knowing how to be. And so my body completely broke. And mentally, I was just shattered, because you're used to being so lean and fit and athletic, and then you've got a pro status, and you're in everybody's. That's when I blew up on social media, because I was one of the first bikini girls to get that, and everyone's looking at you, and then all of a sudden you feel out of shape. So you just don't want to be in public, and you just don't want to see people, and you just want to hide from everybody because you feel like everyone's judging you. And it was horrible. I just didn't know how to be. I was in the public eye, especially in my hometown, and getting asked to do shoots and gigs, and I'm like, I'm out of shape. I wasn't. Looking back, I look great. I didn't have abs, I wasn't shredded, and that to me at the time was, I'm gross and fat. I don't like the F word, but that's what I thought of myself at the time. I had zero self-love or anything like that, and that was a big struggle mentally. Physically, my body was shutting down on me. My hormones were just all over the place, and my thyroid, like everything was shattered. But mentally, it was even worse because I don't know how to be normal anymore. I don't know how to eat food. Like I didn't know how to not follow a meal plan. I didn't know how to not train three hours a day. It was tough. Like that was super, super tough. I think back, I just remember how I felt and it was horrible. And I was literally a walking zombie the entire time. I couldn't even have a conversation like I am with you right now.
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah. And not that I was being rude or mean or anything. I just had no energy to function as a normal human at all.
Plus, you have that anxiety of.
I'm just talking.
Sorry, your one cut off.
Oh, go. Sorry.
It would have been even harder too, having that anxiety, having that identity as someone in the fitness space who is always in shape.
And that's honestly been something that pressure, and it is. I understand it is the pressure I put on myself, and I understand that now. I didn't understand that then, and it is. It's a huge pressure, and that actually lasted for years because I was the face of a supplement company. I was the face of supplement brands. I was like the it girl, and everyone just has an eye on you, and I couldn't go anywhere without someone going, "Oh, hey, you're Nina," blah blah blah, which is awesome and humbling and amazing, but I had to be this like personality, and then inside I was like dying because I felt so insecure about so many things. It was really tough.
Wow, that's profound. Like considering the place you were in, most people would dream of having that sort of identity.
Yeah, and to be honest, we can talk about this later, but it wasn't until recently I really learned to be my true self. And not that I was trying to be someone else throughout those years, but I internalized a lot of things, and I didn't know how to be my true self, if that makes sense. I didn't even realize I wasn't being myself. I was being me, and I was just being, but I wasn't being me from deep down, if that makes sense. Like my personality was the same, but I guess my authenticity was a little different, or the place things would come from. I don't even know how to describe it. I just feel like a completely different person now to what I was then.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were good enough at that point?
Oh, no, never. Not for a second, honestly, not for a second. And that came from my environment. I guess not just being, you know, in the, I guess, limelight, whatever you want to call it. That's not it, because I still have an audience now, and that doesn't bother me. It's more, I don't even know how to describe it. The expectation I put on myself, and literally, it was tough because. What was the question?
Did you feel good enough? I think, like,
Okay.
I did a video about this the other day, and like the feeling of not being good enough, so you act inauthentically, and then from that you feel like a fraud.
Gotcha. Sorry, mum brain. I have to ask things. I'm not thinking. Okay, so yeah, no, I never felt good enough, no matter. And to me, okay, so what I associated with good enough at the time was how lean I was. That to me at the time mentally correlated with how good enough I was.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with me and what was on the inside. So yeah, everything was kind of superficial, and it's just the environment I was in, and I was in two environments, right? So I was in the fitness side of things, and I was in the supplement industry. So those two things combined, everything is physical. Everything is how you look and how you market yourself, how you look. And I was also a trainer and everything like that. So everything is image, image, image. And no one talked about mindset and your mental state and, your spiritual side and development. So it was all physical, physical. So I never felt good enough. And even I pushed myself so much, even with work and business, and I worked X amount of hours a week. I would kill myself, like working 50 hours a week and trying to train on top of that 3 hours a day, and not all the whole time, but a lot of hours a day, even out of prep. And I didn't feel good enough. Every photo shoot I did, I always was like, oh, I wish I was this, I wish I was that. And I was always putting myself down, and I would looking in the mirror. I always hated what I saw, always, no matter Like, I mean, I've been like up to 72 kilos before and then down to like 55 kilos and felt the same about myself looking in the mirror. Like, it was crazy. I had to really take a transition later on to get out of that.
Okay, so run us through how you overcome this. If it involves like anything that you've learnt recently, then just go for it.
Well, at the time, okay, so like I said, I have to learn things the hard way. And at the time, I really rebounded and got to a point where my body just wasn't responding to anything. So I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And I'd already gained a lot of body fat and I couldn't get it off. And I was still eating nothing and nothing was working. And I was just mentally getting worse and worse because I'm like, I can't go out in public. I can't wear a bikini. I can't do this. And I reached out to, I had a coach recommended to me, Dr. Lane Norton, who's amazing and he's a great friend of mine now. And I got told to work with him. And I had a girlfriend working with him at the time. So I had heard nothing about this guy before, no idea. And I reached out to him and I was like, my body's effed up. I need your help. And I wanted to compete again. You know, I had this pressure to compete from sponsors and stuff. And I was like, can you please help me? And he was amazing. He was the first person to say, your body is messed up, and if you want to compete again, you better do what I say. It's going to take at least a year and a half, and you have to realize this is what it's going to take. And I was like, okay. And it's the first time I threw my hands up and went, I'll do whatever you say if it's going to get my health back. And he was great. So he made me reverse diet. And for those of you who don't know, that is adding calories incrementally week by week by week over time and to like restore your metabolic rate. And he made me do that for 6 months. I reverse dieted for 6 months. I got to about 72 kilos and it might not seem very heavy, but on a 5'6" girl who's usually like 50 something kilos, that's a lot. And my body, it's just the way my body responded, but it was necessary. And knowing I had to be that weight for a long time made me have to start looking for other forms of motivation that was progress. So I wasn't getting lean anytime soon, so I had to look for other things. So for me, it was like, all right, I started kind of powerlifting style training. So it was how much I could lift in the gym. I started training at gyms with no mirrors because I didn't need that. I didn't have to look when I was training. That was huge. And I also started doing some martial arts, which was amazing because there's no mirrors when you do martial arts. You can't look at yourself or someone will punch you in the face. So that was great. I started really focusing on how much I was lifting, how I was feeling, the energy I was feeling. I was feeling so energized, the variety of food I was able to eat and my relationship with food and how that was improving. So I started just taking one little thing a day where it was like, okay, where can I shift my focus to that's not focusing on how I look? Because that was my focus for such a long time. And I started listening to podcasts like this one, like lots of different podcasts that talk about mindset and mindfulness and self-love and how to learn to love yourself. And I'd never really heard of that before because no one really spoke about it at the time. And that was important. It was like revolutionary for me because I'm like, oh, okay, I have to talk to myself. I have to like actually talk to myself out loud and say, I like this about you today. I felt so dumb doing it, but it's like such a powerful tool.
It
works. And you know, learning how to I had to overcome negative thoughts because you get negative thoughts about everything, but about yourself especially. So if I was like, oh, you look gross today, I would go, okay. I learned how to replace that negative thought with positive one. So it was a big learning curve for me because I went, okay, someone just took my the thing I put value on for myself has been taken away. How else am I gonna deal with this now? So you really have to look for those other things. So that's what I started to do.
That's really important. That's a hard thing to do though, like surrender your identity or what you think is your identity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was there anything else that you used to help you overcome that sort of struggle?
Yeah, so I think my life in general was just stressful, and a part of dealing with those thoughts and feelings was also managing stress. Because for me, the reason I got to where I got was because I had adrenal exhaustion as well. That was the result of all the hormonal stuff. My adrenals just went, nope, see you later, and I had almost had chronic fatigue. So I had to find ways to de-stress my life. I started saying no to everything because I'm a yes man. I'm a people pleaser. So I'd be like, "Do you want a cup of coffee? Sure. Do you want to do this for me? Yeah, sure. Can you do this for me? Yep, 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 yep." Meanwhile, I'm like burning the candle at
Yeah.
both ends. So I started saying no, and that was so difficult for me to be like, I don't want to do that. I just want to stay at home on the couch and relax. Like, that was so hard, but I learned to do that, and now I don't have a problem saying no. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But it's harder. That is definitely a lot harder than it sounds to do. And I also started meditating a little bit. I'm not great at that because I find it hard to sit still. But I incorporated a little bit of meditation and the yoga and relaxation techniques and breathing. It's amazing how something so simple as doing some deep belly breathing, even for like 2 minutes in the day, can reset things. So I started listening to a lot of things that helped me de-stress and started implementing some of these techniques that, to me at the time, I was like, this is silly. Like, who does that? Like, that doesn't sound like, what, really? And then I started doing them. And yeah, they help so much. So any kind of stress management techniques, I feel, don't just eliminate stress, but they just help with your mindset overall. So important.
That's really cool. So you like removed all the chances of comparison by training different style, training at a gym with no mirrors.
Yeah.
You surrendered, and then you start working on yourself, like through self-development and stress management. That's super powerful. And that's something that most people need to do, but
Yeah.
just don't take it up, don't take action.
And keep in mind, guys, this doesn't happen in a few months. Like, I'm still working on all of these things now. Like it's never ending, I think. But that was, at that point, it was me scraping the surface to go, okay, I need to make some changes, and how am I going to do that?
With that people pleasing and learning how to say no,
You're very good at picking things up.
do you think that you were able to, I guess, cultivate the ability to say no because you started surrendering that identity and started like having or garnering a little more self-love, so you didn't need to please people to have acceptance?
I guess a little bit, yeah. It's taken me really up until now to stop the people pleasing thing, but I think that was the start of it. I think that was the start of me saying, okay, I'm important. I need to look after me before I can do anything else. And that was the beginning. That was like the surface, scraping the surface. So yeah, absolutely. It still took a very long time and it's still going to be an ongoing thing. But yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. Where that was the beginning of that kind of chapter.
Okay, let's go into finding happiness.
Oh my God. I think that's an evolutionary thing, that just, it comes in cycles, I think, because I think as we get older or as we evolve and go through new life experience, different things make us happy. So the things that made us happy once don't make us happy anymore. So our priorities change. But yeah, like especially in the last, I guess, maybe 2 years, it's been the biggest turning point for me in terms of happiness. And this is not really something I've talked about just yet, because I was still, I guess, kind of fresh. So first time on here, everyone gets the scoop. Look, basically, I was living the fitness life for a long time, and in the same supplement company and in the same relationship, and all of that kind of tied in together for a long time. And all of these things were always together: my relationship, supplement company, and fitness and competing, and just fitness in general. And what I realized, well, I didn't realize it until I had to make a certain decision, which I'll tell you in a second. But in reflection, what I realized is that I internalize a lot of things. I'm a very open person in terms of speaking, but in terms of certain deep thoughts and feelings, I internalize everything. I was a very poor communicator when it came to my emotions, I guess is what you would say, which I didn't find out till about a year ago. But I realized, I don't know, it literally got to a point where I had everything. I had a business, financial security, I had a future, I had everything you would want. Like you said, everything anyone else would look at my life and think that's the dream life. right? I worked very hard. I wasn't one of those people that just didn't work. I worked very, very hard, and I also tried to run my own business. Again, on the side, other things. So I was always doing projects, and my body was great, like looked great. I was still battling health things. And I lived the life, like I lived a very busy, hectic life, but my life was great. I had fun with friends, and I was always, on my stories and like, hey guys, what I'm doing today, get my coffee for the day, and worked hard, and then trained every day, and I had like free things from companies coming at me all the time. I had it all. I had a beautiful home. I had so much stuff happening that was like tick, 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 tick. And then I don't know, inside I was still very sad. And I didn't realize at the time, because I was always so busy, because I was made myself busy so I wouldn't have to deal with my emotions and my feelings. I didn't know I was doing that, but I learned later that that's what I was doing. And I would hide from everything because I didn't want to deal with it. So I would just, go train or go whatever, and just, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Like that was me. I wouldn't talk about anything that actually mattered. And it wasn't until about, what are we now? A year and a half ago, a year and a bit ago, actually. I don't even know what month it is. What is it? April, a year and a half ago. See, mum life makes things go like that. I can't explain it, but it was literally something deep inside me. It was like, this is not what you want. And I ignored it for a little while. I ignored it actually I probably ignored it for 2 years. I think for about 2 years, I had this little voice inside me saying, something's not right here. Something's really not right in your life. And I was like, then my other voice was like, no, don't be silly. Like, what are you talking about? Everything's great. Like, what are you talking about? It's fine. And suddenly that little voice started getting louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And one day I just realized, oh my gosh, this isn't what I want, and I need to talk about it. And so I did. I opened up about it, especially with my ex-partner, and that was really tough. I'm not going to go into, obviously, out of respect of the situation, but, after opening up about something that you've been holding in for so long and not realizing you've been holding in for so long makes it real. And once it's real, you realize you can't go back on it, and you realize all the things that are making you unhappy. So it was once I spoke about it and actually let it out, which is very difficult for me to do, reality hit me, and it hit me like a tsunami. And I was like, wow, I am so unhappy. Like, I am so unhappy. And it was just, that wasn't fulfilling for me anymore. I don't know. I was miserable. And then everything kind of hit, like the anxiety. Oh my gosh, I never experienced anxiety like that in my life, to the point where I couldn't function some days, because I was going through this period of, what do I want? Am I making a mistake in taking a drastic change? Because I was literally in my mind preparing myself to go, I feel like just walking away from everything. I feel like walking away from absolutely everything right now. But if I do that, I lose everything. I lose friendships. I lose relationships. I lose business. I lose everything I had built up until now in my life. I lose, apart from my family and stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
So, who does that? Who does it? Who walks away from the dream life?
Someone who moved to Sydney as a 19-year-old.
Right. And it wasn't a reflection on what anyone else had done. It was just what was in my heart wasn't the same anymore. I don't know what happened. I really don't know. I can't explain it right now, but I just know that I knew I wasn't happy deep down. These things weren't fulfilling me anymore. And if I was going to stay in that moment and in that life, I was going to just be hurting myself and be hurting other people, because I wasn't being authentic to myself or to anybody else. So I chose to walk away, and it was the hardest decision to date that I've ever made in my entire life. And it wasn't overnight. It took me like 2 months to walk away. But I chose happiness, and I still wasn't sure at the time. Like, Guys, if you ever choose to be happy, like really truly know that something's not right and you need to walk away from something and you need to go try something new, it is the scariest thing you will ever do. Like, I had the most anxiety I've ever had in my life. I had attacks all the time. And it's because I just fear of the unknown, right? Like, you just are scared of the unknown and you don't know if you're making the right decision. And obviously, everything that's comfortable is the safe zone, and that's your comfort. That's everything's cool. And I'm like, okay, I'm walking into a life where I have zero financial anything, because walking away meant I walked away from everything, like my income, like everything.
Wow, that's scary.
Terrifying, terrifying.
I can just
And
tell by the way you're moving.
terrifying. On top of that, I went to a different country. So, yeah, I just took a complete chance on removing myself from everything to be like, all right, let's see if this is what I really need to do. And I need to give myself a couple months. And then I went, wow, this is what I need to do. Deep down, my little fire burning is like, yes, you're doing the right thing. And honestly, like a year and a half later, life just happens. And I've never been happier in my entire life. Like I said, I have never been, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm actually myself. I can be myself. I can share and voice my emotions and opinions. I've got nothing to hold back anymore. I don't feel like I have to be an expectation, whether it's my own or someone else's. Yeah. And, lo and behold, like, I met the person I'm meant to be with. We had a beautiful baby girl recently, and like, I've never been happy. Like, I literally met my soulmate in that time by taking a chance. And I had to start my career all over again. And this past year was the scariest thing, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do for a career. Everyone knows me as a nutrition coach and kind of lifestyle coach, and I still want to do that, but I want to take a different path on it. And I didn't know what I was once, like, there's so many things. I'm like, I'm starting all over again, and it's terrifying. But in time, you figure it out. You figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And my ideas are usually pretty like far-fetched and take a while to get to. So it's going to be a few years of hard work.
You can work for them.
Exactly. So honestly, and it's funny because everyone that is close to me has said, we have never seen you this happy. Like, this is amazing. Even my mum, she was like, whoa, she'd look at photos. She's like, are you serious? Who is this girl? Like, what is going on? So everyone does know it's a difference. So my point is, to go back to your question, happiness. Happiness is literally be all end all. Like, that surpasses any superficial thing you have in your life, anything materialistic. If you are not happy, none of that crap matters. Like, it really doesn't. And might not have to go through an extreme thing like I did, but I tend to be that. But yeah, if something's not happy, even if it's just with your job, or I don't know, whether you just want to work from home instead of going to 9 to 5, make it happen. Like, just walk away from it. Like, obviously, if you have to pay a mortgage, figure that out. But it's important. If you are unhappy, it'll just eat at you and eat at you and eat at you until you kind of explode and have to make a drastic decision like I did. Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to touch on there, because I really feel like anyone in a long-term relationship where you have like shared finances or a home, even renting,
Right.
can resonate with like the lessons that you give off.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, if you're feeling unhappy in that relationship or with your life at that point, like, literally, like what you did, finally opening up about it, talking about it to your partner. In doing that, you make it real, like you said, and then you, from there, give yourself permission to take action, whether that's fixing it or walking away.
Yeah. You have to. And I think one lesson I would, something I've learned is that communication is very important. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with your family, friends, whoever it is, communication is absolutely everything. And that's something I never exercised and didn't know how to do. Didn't know how to. And my now husband has been amazing in helping me learn how to do that. He's helped me so much with so many things in that area. And I'm still not perfect, but I'm 10 million times better. But communication really is key in absolutely everything and making it success. And whether something is fixable or not, whether it's your job, relationship, anything else in your life, you need to communicate it. Simple as that, because if you don't, it's just going to stay inside and nothing's going to change.
So, I guess the last question on that is, you literally surrendered every identity you could have had. You had the house, you were the fitness model chick, you were in the relationship with a certain guy, and a business.
Yep.
Like, how did that, can you talk me through that process for anyone who's considering something like that? As much as you want to give.
It's not that. I just don't, I don't want to be, I'm not here to tell anybody that you need to just leave everything.
Yeah.
It's a big decision to, I think what you need to do is be self-aware. And that's something I didn't do either. Kept myself so busy, wasn't self-aware because I just suppressed everything. So you need to be self-aware. I think that's what the lesson is here. And you need to put value on how you feel and put value on your opinions. And that's something I didn't know how to do. And you need to realize that if you do feel a certain way, that's how you feel. That's valid. Doesn't matter what anyone else's opinion of that is. If you feel a certain way, there's a reason you feel that way, and that's important. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, you're being silly or whatever. If you feel a certain way, even if, for example, I don't know, your best mate says something to you and it kind of offends you and they're just kidding and you're like, oh, they're just joking, whatever, but you still feel like a bit upset or whatever. Yep. That's important. You need to tell them, like, don't do that shit again. That offended me. You hurt my feelings. So it's the same kind of thing. You need to place that value on how you feel, and whether that person or situation is intended to make you feel that way. If you still feel that way, it's still making you feel like that. That's a problem. So that's where the communication thing comes in. You need to talk things out and say, this makes me feel this way or whatever. And no matter what situation it is you're in, job, relationship, applies to everything. And either the situation adapts and things change and you overcome it, or it doesn't change and you move on. You go, all right, it's not going to change. I need to change things from my end. Yeah. You need to look at it that way. Everyone's very different. So even if someone's in the same situation as I was, it's still a matter of looking inside and figuring out how you feel and what's important to you.
Yeah, that's cool. That's profound.
I guess so. I don't know.
So you talked about meeting your soulmate and having a baby. Can you talk us through mum life?
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, I'm only 2 months in, so we're really fresh. It's been a complete, I still don't know how to describe it. It's one of the most humbling, most amazing experiences I've ever had, and also the most challenging. But it's more the sleep deprivation that gets you. Oh my gosh, if I could sleep like every day from the get-go, I'd be fine. They use sleep deprivation as a form of torture. Like, that's what it is. Like, I think one day I was like going delusional and seeing things. It was weird. No, it's been beautiful. Like, we have a beautiful little baby girl and she's the cutest thing ever. Like, she really is. And she has taught me to, one, develop better time management skills because you only have certain windows to get things done. But two, really, really see what's important in life. And even though I had already kind of learned that with my husband before, I really saw value in different things. With her, it's next level, like I could have a million things on my to-do list, which I do every day, but she wants a cuddle. She gets a cuddle, like it's more priorities and perspective. It's taught us to communicate even better as a couple, because with a baby, puts stress on both of you because you're both not sleeping well, and if it's stressful, the first month is just stressful, and you don't know what to do. You have this little human they give you to take home after like 2 days of people in the hospital. You're like, okay, what do we do now? It's like, okay, we just figure it out. But yeah, you figure it out, and I love it. I'm excited to be a mum, and I never thought I'd actually be a mum. And sometimes I still feel like she's someone else's child just living in the house. It's so surreal. But the amount of love you feel for this little teeny human is just incredible, and it's actually brought my husband and I, like, we're super close, but it's brought us even closer together. But it's also made us realize how important it is to communicate every little thought and feeling to make sure we're on the same page. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's not the lesson I was expecting out of this, but that's amazing.
Oh, good. Surprise you. But yeah, I think I still have a lot to learn with mum life. I'm just scraping the surface, being a couple of months in. But I'm a pretty patient person as it is, but trying to tackle things on very, very little sleep has been a challenge. That's the biggest challenging thing for me.
Yeah, I think having my daughter has been the best experience of my life. It's taught me how to be patient, and it's really made me a man that I'm not ashamed to be anymore.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, because you want to be a role model for them. And even now, it's funny. Okay, so like I went through this whole life change, and I spent the whole last year working on my mental health and then figuring out what I want to do. And now I'm like, all right, I have a baby, and now I'm starting a business. I'm working for another company as well, helping them out, and I've got all these plans, and I just had a newborn. Like, why do I have to do everything all the time? And then I'm like, I didn't get to film that video today, and I didn't get to work out today, I didn't get to do this. And Chino's like, you just had a baby. You just had a baby. Like, do you realize we were in the hospital, 7 weeks ago? You have to remember that. So I just want to do everything now. Like, that's just me, and I want to achieve everything. But you have to realize you just have to pick and choose, and you'll get there slowly as long as you chip away at everything. I think that's what I've kind of learned to do.
Yeah, I think someone like you with your platform, your work ethic, and the sort of vibe you give off, the energy you give off, you're going to make it there regardless. So please don't burn yourself out. We need people like you.
Okay. I'm just chipping away at the moment. And in that time, still figuring out where I want to go and what direction I want to go in. But right now, I'm just having fun on the side, just creating lots of educational and informational content for everyone, especially with this new mum journey. I think everyone can learn from anyone who's a parent, whether you're a parent or not. There's so many elements. So, yeah.
Yes. So the one thing I do want to touch on, and the one thing that's made me even more inspired by you, is the posts you've been putting up, like, since you fell pregnant.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Can you walk us through that and how you have the confidence to do that?
Oh, yeah, the progress shots. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's been a bit. Well, actually, it's not been as challenging as posting like fit shots up, because so guys, I've been posting like postpartum shots literally from the day of birth, one a week, on how I'm looking. And to be honest, I didn't realize this till right now, but when I used to post progress shots when I was like in shape, that was scarier because you're like, oh, someone's going to judge me, like whatever, like, oh my gosh, like a bit nervous. So am I lean enough, blah, blah. And now I'm like, man, I just had a baby, like whatever, this is my progress. So literally I still, like, I don't have abs yet. It's only 2 months. I only started exercising this week. And you see me with like a little belly and stuff. And because that's what the woman's body does. And I feel like I'm more confident posting those because I'm like, this is what my body's meant to do. Like, and it's more of an empowering thing for other women to realize that if you've had a baby, this is what's meant to happen. Like, there's about 1% of people that bounce back like that. Even a girl I follow, she had a baby and within 10 days had a body like was back to normal. I'm like, what? Like, you are 1 in a million. Do you know what I mean? Those girls are 1 in a million, and great for them. That's amazing. And that's got nothing to do with anything. It's a good genetic base, whatever. But yeah, I'm not that person. And so I'm sharing like, hey guys, I'm just like everybody else. It's going to take me a while to get back into shape after the baby. And you have to realize that you have a new body postpartum. It's not like you're treating the same body. You have to start all over again. So yeah, it's a process. I've been posting those. And very TMI about everything. Information about what's been happening with things. So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go read those yourselves.
Oh shit! I forgot where I was going next.
Sorry.
No, you're.
Yeah, about being mum, and I just want everyone to kind of realize that hey, we all start somewhere, we all have setbacks, or, you know, I think it's very different postpartum. I'm sharing my journey. So I actually filmed my first YouTube video for my fitness postpartum series today. So I'm documenting everything every week, which will be interesting. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how my body's going to respond. It's so different. So, yeah.
That's so real though, and that's something that attracted me to like following you and keeping up to date with your progress, is because you were putting out posts when you were this person with the identity as like the it girl in fitness here in Perth in Western Australia.
Yeah.
And so you posting like something about depression or anxiety, I don't know, it allowed me to resonate with you on a deeper level, and that's like the whole interest.
Well, I think that's how after I obviously did all the pro card and was like, you know, did well in bikini and competing, whatever. And once my body kind of was like, I was like, all right, health is a priority. I'm not competing anymore. What do I have to offer people? And it wasn't even that. It was more, all right, my body shut down. People expect something of me, and now I have to be honest with everybody, I guess. And I was very honest, and I said what was happening. And that kind of turned into, I guess, therapeutic more for myself rather than other people. Initially, I was kind of like, oh, I need to share this just to get it off my chest. So if people know what's going on, they're not going to judge me. That's kind of how I felt. And yeah, over time, I've just kept doing that with everything. But I'm more that kind of person that I need to go through something, come out of the end of it, like on the other side, then I can talk about it. But with the baby thing, like no one ever comes out the other side. You just learn as you go. So that's a little different. So I just share as I go. But with the other stuff, like all the hormone things, once I really learned how to take care of it, is when I really opened up about everything and shared it. And I think that's what made me fall in love with social media and connecting with people, was being able to resonate. Because once I shared initially what I was going through with my health, I realized I wasn't alone, because I felt very alone in that moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one going through this. Like, that's how I felt at the time. I felt isolated. And once I opened up, I think I posted like a YouTube video like back in the day about it. My inbox just flooded like crazy. Everyone going, oh my God, I went through the same thing and this and this and this. And that was so powerful. And I feel like that's why sometimes I just get on my Instagram stories and I just talk about what I went through that day. And the amount of responses I get, even if it's just me thinking it's insignificant, someone will resonate, and that's powerful, because I just want people to feel like they're not alone. And then when they message me and they're like, I'm going through this too, I feel like I'm not alone. So it's a really nice community kind of feel. Yeah, it's important.
Amazing. I love the contrast and like the evolution from this 23-year-old going through the struggle within the fitness industry, struggling with self-acceptance and identity, and then now to this point where you're posting postpartum shots. It's fucking epic.
Yeah. It is pretty crazy to think about it. I was always like, I have to be shredded. Now I'm like, here's my belly. But in fairness, my uterus still hasn't shrunk, so that's there. But hey, I am like 9 kilos up, so I'm going to have fat. It's normal. It's fine. Like, it's okay. I enjoyed eating all the food, so that's also fun. It is life. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I didn't even think of it like that. So you're making me realize things as we go.
Yes. A couple quick questions and then we'll wrap up, buddy.
Sure.
Knowing what you've been through with dancing, with fitness, this evolution of your relationship and finding your soulmate, to now being a mum, and deciding where you want to go next, like in terms of work, what would you say the quality of your life is like now?
Oh, amazing. It's so stress-free. Well, I wouldn't say stress-free, because there's a lot of other stress. A lot of stresses. Everyone goes through stress, financial stress, life stress, whatever. There's always something. But in terms of stress, it's a lot less than it has ever been. Apart before giving birth, I slept, which was great. I would sleep. In terms of health, my health just restored, because I was happy and stress-free. Not stress-free, but like different sorts of stress. But I learned to manage it too. And it's just amazing. I can't even explain, like right now, like, get me wrong, I work a lot. I work hard, but I make my own time schedule. So that's brilliant. Love that. I choose what I want to do in my day. Like I do. And I can spend time. Like today, if I didn't want to do any work all day, I want to spend time with my baby and my husband, I could do that. I would just have to make up for it later, which is fine. So quality of life is a lot simpler. Like life is a lot more simple, but the quality has improved from the simplicity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's incredible. I don't have to see, like, it's great. I actually live in the US now. So we're in Florida right now. And I have a handful of people which I know. No one else knows me, which is great. It's amazing. I can go to shops looking like a bum and no one knows me. Yeah, and no, it's just, I love life right now. Like, and it's just going to get better because I'm only just finding, the direction I want to go in on a, I guess, career sort of level. But in terms of my personal life, it's just beautiful.
Awesome.
I couldn't hope for anything else. Like if you had told me this was going to happen, I would have been like, whatever. So it's been a pretty amazing story. I'll have to tell you about the rest of the story one day separately, like my actual, like how we met and all the whole like thing. It's pretty surreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
What have you added to your life or removed from it to improve the quality of it?
Sleep. Add some sleep would be great. Apparently that comes later. Have you slept yet? Like after being a parent, how many years have you?
She's 3.5, so yes, I sleep. She sleeps all the way through.
Okay, great. Honestly, the biggest thing I would add right now is sleep. But that comes with, new parent. What I would add? One thing I would add would be closer to my family. That's one thing that's been very difficult for me is being away from my really close friends and family. Being in a different country it's tough, especially having a little baby and being so far away. Like that's really hard. So that's one thing I would add. What else? Honestly, otherwise I kind of have everything else. I would just like to be financially set up. Like that would be amazing, but we all want that, and we're always links because I had to start all over again. So it's it's okay. A little stress with that sometimes, but it's adulting, right? And that's a small price to pay, honestly. Like having to start all over again from scratch and then being happy is like, I would rather have nothing and be happy and have to build it all back up again than the latter. So they're the things I would add. Anything I would remove? Ooh, I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't think so.
That's
If
awesome.
I just, because right now I am contracting to like some other companies, helping them out with social media and little bits and pieces. If I could just remove that, because I would remove that and just create content all day. Like that's something I would want to do, and that's what I'm going to work towards. And if I could just change that one little thing where I can make my sole income from content and writing and doing videos and making like all this stuff and media, like that's like I'm working towards that. So if that's one thing I would change that, because that would just fulfill my soul. But otherwise, yeah, I'm good. Everything's
happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. It's going to keep going.
What are you most grateful for right now?
Oh, so many things. My family, like my little mini immediate family now, because we have a little family. I'm grateful. Honestly, the person I've been most grateful for is meeting my husband. He has made me be a better person beyond what I ever thought I was capable of being. And he's taught me so many things. And also I've taught him a lot too, so he can't take all the credit. So that's been a huge thing, and he's just honestly the most amazing person I could ever have hoped for to come into my life. And yeah, being a mum. Like I actually never thought I would be a mum. I never thought I could be a mum. I never thought I would like being a mum. And she's just, I think being with my husband and, being with the right person makes everything tenfold amazing. So yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Last question, buddy. If you had the chance to put a message on a billboard somewhere thousands of people would see it every day, what would that message be?
That is a great question. Wow, I have way too many. I'm the most indecisive person ever, which I have to tell you. So making me choose just one is really hard. I think, and this might sound cliche, but you need to be true to yourself. Like that might sound a little cliche, but if you dig a little deeper with that, it really does mean it's not just the surface. You really need to dig deep and realize what's important to you and to ensure that you follow that, because if you don't, you will end up unhappy. So I think I would say something, either that or something along those lines.
I think that only sounds cliche if you haven't yet done the work to be true to yourself.
Good point.
Okay.
Funny, I have in the past, and I'm like, be true to you, blah, 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 and whatever. I didn't understand what it meant. I get it.
To wrap up, buddy, I want to acknowledge you for, first of all, like accepting this, making time for this, and downloading Skype to be a part of it.
Oh, God, we had some tech issues before we made it happen. It's okay.
But I want to acknowledge you for like everything you've been through, everything you've done, like turning that pain into power and using those struggles, not only using them, but allowing people to resonate with them and feel like they're not alone, probably for the first time for most of them. So thank you so much for what you're doing, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
No, thank you. And you know what? Just another little note. I know I talk way too much, but it's funny. I want to thank you for having me on, because and we all do this, we never give ourselves enough credit, and it's only through doing things like this and speaking to someone like you and actually answering the questions that I realise I do have something good to offer, because a lot of the time I don't feel like what I've been through maybe is worthy of talking about. And I know that's something I'm still working on, and some days I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome, I've been through so much, whatever. And some days I really don't feel like I am anyone special, if that makes sense. Not that I am, but, I have been through a lot, so you give me the opportunity to share this is pretty cool too. So thank you.
Well, before we say goodbye, I'm going to tell you straight up that you are someone special and you're good enough as you are, buddy. So keep doing you and it'll happen.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thanks, mate.
See you, Nina.